Hey there, welcome back. I'm feeling a little bit sneezy. I think hay fever season finally arrived, and I still want to do this video. So let's just get started, right? I'm so glad you're here today because I want to go into something that I think is one of the most misunderstood topics in the whole online yoga business space. And I say that as someone who's made some real mistakes around it myself. So if you're new here, I'm Susanne. I'm an online business coach for yoga teachers and wellness entrepreneur. I'm from Germany, but I live in Mallorca in Spain. And I've been working with yoga teachers on their online businesses since 2016. What I'm sharing today is not just theory, it's what I've actually seen work and not work over and over again. So today we're talking about two things that are very closely related, but not the same thing. And I think the confusion between them is actually one of the main reasons that yoga teachers struggle to get traction online. We're talking about your niche and your messaging. So your niche is the foundation, who you help and what problem you solve. And your messaging is how you talk about it, how you talk about that problem in a way that makes the right person immediately feel seen. You need both. Should be obvious, right? You definitely need both. You need to have a clear niche and you need to have really good messaging. But you have to get them in the right order. And most people skip the first one and go straight to trying to fix the second. So that's what we are unpacking today. So here's what I see all the time. A yoga teacher has been teaching for years. She's genuinely good at what she does. She cares deeply about her students and she decides to take things online. She builds a website, she starts posting on Instagram, and her message sounds something like, I help people feel better in their body through yoga and mindfulness, or something like that, right? And then cricket. So she doesn't really hear anything back beside the people who already follow you because they know her in person and of course they trust her. But new people, no, at best a slow trickle of people who aren't quite the right fit. And then she can't figure out why, because the message feels true. She does help people feel better in their body. So what's missing? What's missing is that her niche exists on paper, but it's too vague to actually anchor the business. And when that happens, offers don't land, content doesn't connect, and people can't quite work out why they should choose her specifically. This is not a talent problem, it's a clarity problem. And it almost always starts at the niche level, not the messaging level. So I want to share something personal here because I think it'll save you from a mistake I made myself. So after I started my business, helping yoga teachers, I had that niche right from the get-go back in 2015. After I've done my yoga teacher training, I started working with yoga teachers, helping them with their website and their marketing. And it evolved really organically. But then a few years ago, I went through perimenopause and midlife, and I felt this really deep pull toward women's health, toward that whole space of woman navigating midlife and what that means for your business, for your identity. It felt real and important and emotionally true to me. So I started moving in the direction of rebranding myself around a business coach for midlife women. But here's what I hadn't done. So I hadn't defined the specific problem I would solve inside that direction. So I was drawn to a theme, a world, or a feeling, and I hadn't really named a problem. And I just thought I could sell, like what I've been selling before and speak to a woman in midlife. But that didn't work at all. It created a lot of confusion for me, for my audience, and my business really didn't tank completely, but it really like decreased. It was like confusion everywhere. because a theme is not a niche. And in the end, I steered things back because I realized yoga teachers are still finding my content. I've built up something here in the last like 8 years or something that I wasn't ready to throw away. So I steered back. But that experience taught me something. I now think is one of the most important distinctions in online business. Your niche is not your favorite topic. It's not your yoga style. It's not about a beautiful idea you feel drawn to. The real niche always brings three things together at once: who you help, what they're actually struggling with right now, and the specific context of their life in which that struggle shows up. And that's it. Who, what problem, what context. When you can nail those three things, you have a niche that can actually hold a business. And now, here's the thing that really shifted how I think about this, and it's directly connected to my niche and messaging and how they have to work together. So, people don't buy modalities, they buy solutions to situations they are already living with. Nobody wakes up thinking, I need vinyasa, or I need more self love, or I need a deeper connection with my body. Right? Nobody does that. They wake up thinking, my back is killing me again, or I haven't slept properly in weeks, or I feel so disconnected from my body since I had a baby. So that's a specific problem then. Or I'm so exhausted all the time and I don't know how to slow down. That's where your niche lives, in a real, specific, present tense situation. And your messaging is the bridge between that situation and what you offer. It's how you communicate your niche in the exact language your ideal student would use to describe her own life. And this is why the order matters so much. If your niche is vague, your messaging has nothing solid to stand on. You can spend hours crafting beautiful Instagram captions and still not connect because the foundation isn't there. But once your niche is clear, once you know precisely who you help and what they're struggling with, your messaging becomes so much easier to write because you're just reflecting back what's already true for that person. So let me show you what this looks like when it works and when it doesn't. I help people feel better in their body. That's a weak niche. It's not wrong, but it's so broad and it could apply to almost anyone, which means it lands with almost no one. I help women in burnout learn how to sleep again. That's a strong niche. Someone lying awake for the third night in a row reads that and immediately thinks that's me. Or I teach yoga for everyone. You know already that's weak, right? I help people after injury rebuild trust in their body so they can move without fear again. That's a strong niche. Someone who spent months feeling scared and disconnected from their own body reads that and feels like you wrote it specifically for her. The stronger version of a niche always answers two questions clearly. Who is this for? And what problem does it solve right now? And then the messaging. The way you write about it, the words you choose, the stories you tell, takes those answers and puts them in the language your ideal student will actually use herself. Not release tension and restore balance, more like finally feel like you can breathe again or stop waking up already exhausted. And that gap between how yoga teachers describe what they do and how their ideal students describe what they're going through, this is where most yoga teachers get lost. Now, I want to address the thing that comes up for almost every yoga teacher when we start talking about this, which is the fear that focusing means losing people. That if you name one specific person with one specific problem, you're shutting the door on everyone else. And I can totally, you like, resonate with that because I have that too. I mean, some of my clients, they're Pilates instructors or meditation coaches or life coaches. And I still call out yoga teachers in most of my content. I mean, sometimes I say yoga teachers and wellness entrepreneurs on a sales page, but on my content, my main messaging is really only speaking to yoga teachers. And there's a reason for that because when you're building an audience online and nobody knows you yet, like when they visit your profile, for example, on Instagram, trying to speak to everyone there is actually the fastest way to become invisible. People have such short attention spans online these days, right? Like of a fruit fly or something. So they need to get what you do, what problem you solve as fast as possible. And when you are really, really specific, that's how you do it. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to send a Pilates structure away. And they might still resonate with my approach and what I teach and like start working with me. And that's great. But the yoga teacher, the majority of my audience, like they're going to feel so strongly that I'm the right person for them. And I'm not like one of those thousand other online business coaches out there speaking to everybody. And this is what you want. So you want your message to be so specific that it really, really reaches the right people. This is what shifts when you become specific. You become known for something. You build credibility faster. The right people find you more easily. And when they do, they trust you immediately because they feel genuinely understood. For example, Amazon. Amazon didn't start as the everything store. They started by selling books, just books. Or Apple built one computer. Skim started with shapewear. And these companies, they didn't expand despite having a narrow focus. They expanded because of it. The focus is what built the trust that made everything else possible. The focus is actually what built the business. So your personal brand works the same way. You don't become known by helping everyone with everything. You become known by solving one problem really, really well. And once you're known for that, you can expand if you want to. So think of your niche as the front door of your business. So it's what people see first. Once they walk through, you can show them everything else, all the other modalities, the layers, the dimensions of your work. But first, they need a reason to walk through the door. I hope this makes sense. So, I want to talk about the three mistakes I see most often when it comes to niching and messaging. The first is what I just talked about, staying too broad. I teach yoga for everyone. And I get it that this impulse usually comes from a good place. You do want to help everyone, and you probably could help everybody. But when you try to speak to everyone, you end up landing with almost no one. The second mistake is niching purely on demographics. I teach yoga for women over 50. That's too broad again. So demographics are part of it, and they can be like they can describe a really specific niche, but they are not enough. Women over 50 are not all struggling with the same thing. Thank God, right? So it's the problem that creates the real connection, not the age bracket. And the third mistake is trying to fit every passion into one core offer at once. So you love yoga and Ayurveda and coaching and breathwork, and all of it is real and valuable, but you need a clear entry point. So a simple way for someone who's never heard of you to understand exactly what you help them achieve. They can discover the rest once they're in. So after this episode, the question I'd leave you with is this: what is the specific problem your ideal student is living with right now? And how would she describe it? Not in wellness language, not in yoga language, but in her own words, the way she'd say it to a friend, because that's where your niche and your messaging really connect. When the problem you've built your work around is specific enough and your content speaks about it in a language that feels familiar and true to the person you're trying to reach. That's when people stop scrolling and think, finally, someone who actually gets what I'm going through. So that's it for today. I hope this episode was helpful and inspiring. Get in touch if you have any feedback or questions. You can email me at hello@susannereicher.com or DM me on Instagram, for example. Thank you so much for being here, and I see you in the next episode. Bye for now.